What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we got the series finale for covering each and every NBA team. We got the Washington Wizards up today. This is a Bradley Beal-led team, one of the best scorers in the league, and we'll see if he sticks around this season. They could end up trading him. That was rumors last year. There were rumors over the offseason. This team's just not a winning team. Bradley Beal's kind of getting towards that downside of his career. Not necessarily downside, but he will be regressing very soon. He just put up 31 points a game though, so he's not a bad player at all. He's not regressing hard. He's not even starting to regress. I'm just saying that he's getting to that age where we're going to start to see some steps back, and he's going to be wanting to contend for a title at some point, I would imagine. And this Wizards team does not look to be in that area or in that realm of possibility anytime soon, especially with the roster they have, which is a semi young roster, but they've also got some players like Bradley Beal where they're starting to get into that early 30s and they're going to be starting to go downhill eventually, and they're just not really at that level to where there's a sidekick to Bradley Beal. They tried that with Westbrook last year. It didn't work out too well. They almost made the play, or they made the play-in, not the playoffs. But they just didn't have what it took with Bradley Beal and Westbrook. So they shipped off Westbrook. I imagine Bradley Beal has to be following behind him very soon, early on in the season, just because, again, I think he's got to be in that mindset where he wants to win. And as much as he says that he wants to stay loyal to the Wizards, I just don't see that happening too much longer. Another guy that this team brings in this offseason is Spencer Dinwiddie. He's coming off an injury, but he just averaged 20 points per game in 2019-2020. So this guy is a guy that can come in here and be a huge difference maker, assuming that he comes back fully healthy. I hope that he does. Spencer Dinwiddie was a guy that everyone expected to be a very good role player with the Nets with this big three that they have, but then he got injured and then they shipped him off. So Dinwiddie, hoping he comes back, hoping he can get kind of in that like most improved player category, if they really even consider that. If there was a comeback player of the year like the NFL has, he would definitely be in the running for that. But hoping Dinwiddie can get back to that 20 point per game type player that he is, because this team's really going to need a scorer next to Bradley Beal, someone else that can put up points, because Bradley Beal is not going to be able to take every shot on this team. Although there are some solid players that I am going to get to here. Montrezl Harrell being one of them, 2026 man of the year. So, he's still got gas left in the tank, and a lot of it. He went to the Lakers last year, but he was super underutilized. He even came out and said that he didn't really like how they were trying to use him. They weren't using him right. This dude's a high energy, high intensity player. Watched him at Louisville. That was my school, still is my school, even though I'm at UGA. I will always be a Louisville basketball fan. Montrezl Harrell, Dr. Dunk, was one of those guys that I was just enamored with from the first time I saw him. So I'm hoping that he gets what he's wanting in Washington. Hope that he gets to play the role that he hopes to play. I would imagine he does still play that 6-man role, as they have Thomas Bryant, who's hopefully coming off an injury and will probably be in the starting lineup, I'd imagine. You got Daniel Gafford that just signed an extension, and he's definitely going to be in that starting lineup. And then you've got Rui Hachimura, who can play small forward or power forward, so he could kind of clog up that power forward area too. So I imagine Harrell goes back to that 6-man role, and hopefully he can dominate in it with Washington, as hopefully there's going to be more opportunity for him, which I would imagine there would be, especially coming off the bench. I mentioned Rui Hachimura. He regressed in his per game numbers last year, but he got his field goal percentage and his 3-point percentage up. This dude's a good defender, still super young. He's only going into his 3rd season, I believe. He comes out of Gonzaga, which is where their draft pick from this past year, Corey Kissberg, came from. So they got a little bit of a reunion going on there, as Kissberg played all 4 years. So he would have been there at the same time Hachimura was. And Rui, like I said, he's a very good defender. This dude's probably underrated on the defensive end. He's not a Kawhi level defender, but he is a Kawhi type defender, I believe. So we'll see if he can just continue to progress in that and see what he can do this upcoming season. Then, like I mentioned, we got Thomas Bryant, who's coming off an injury. He had a stellar start to last season, but then just unfortunately got injured and missed the rest of the season. But this is another guy that was breaking out and looked to be a stud, looked to be a very solid center, power forward type player. And if he can come back fully healthy, he can be another big piece for this Wizards team. Believe he was putting up about 15 points a game. Very good rebounder, can go out there and block some shots. Another guy that I watched in college, he went to Indiana, and he was just an absolute beast there. So hoping he can be fully recovered from his injury and play his full season here and see what he can do with the opportunity there. Denny Avdia, another player coming off an injury here. This team, as you can tell, was kind of riddled by injuries. Spencer Dinwiddie wasn't on their roster last year, so he doesn't count. But Thomas Bryant, Avdia, were both injured for most of the season last year, or close to at least half of it in Avdia's case. But he looks to find his shooting touch in the NBA and have a good bounce back campaign. This dude can shoot very well. He did it overseas. Now he's just looking to do it in the NBA. He was a guy that I was pretty high on coming out of the draft, because didn't know much about him going into the draft, but coming out of the draft after watching a little bit of film, really like this dude, 6'9" guy that can shoot. But it just didn't translate his rookie season last year, as he was shooting about 30% from 3-point range. So he looks to get that up and just looks to be hopefully a better and stronger player coming off of this injury. And then you got Davis Bertans, who is a shooter right now. He's the token sharpshooter of this team. If you need a 3-point bucket and Bradley Beal's not available, this is the guy you want to get it to. Dude is just a career knockdown 3-point shooter. He's pretty much just going to be a catch and shoot type player, though. He's not really going to do much of anything else for you. He might grab a couple boards. He might get you an assist or two, but Bertans is pretty much strictly a shooter, and he knows his role and he does it very well. Then you've got Daniel Gafford that I mentioned just got an extension. I believe that was 4-year, $50 million, I want to say. So this is a guy that Washington was looking to lock up, or at least get some kind of contract on him. Maybe they try and trade him. I don't know. But I imagine right off the bat that they're wanting to lock him up. He's a young guy. And I would imagine they're trying to keep him there for a while. He's a high percentage shooter, shoots in the 60% range for field goal percentage. Doesn't really take any threes. He knows that's not his game. He's a paint player, and he's going to go get his buckets down there. He's also a very good shot blocker and rebounder. He hasn't been given a ton of minutes yet, though. He's yet to eclipse 20 minutes per game anywhere that he's been, whether it was with Chicago or when he got traded over to Washington in the middle of last season. They still weren't even playing him 20 minutes a game. So he's looking to probably eclipse that. I would imagine this guy breaks the starting lineup and is the starting center or power forward for this team alongside Thomas Bryant. That's just, I don't know, that's the ideal back or front court that I have for this team. So Gafford just looks to come in here and show that he was worth his extension. And then probably the biggest story of the offseason for this team is Kyle Kuzma coming over in that Russell Westbrook trade. Hopefully this is the fresh start Kyle Kuzma needs for his career. He's gotten so much crap throughout his career. The first season or two, everyone was saying that they thought that this 20-something overall pick, Kyle Kuzma, was going to be better than Jason Tatum. We have seen that has not panned out so far. Kuzma did put up about 18 points per game in his second season, but he hasn't gone downhill since then. He had his beef with teammate Lonzo when they were both on the Lakers together, and Kuzma's just really just become a meme. I don't know what it is, but his basketball IQ does not look to be there. So hopefully, again, this is the fresh start that he needs. The change of scenery will hopefully help him out. I do think Sacramento would have been a better fit where they were going to trade him for Buddy Hield, but Washington came in with that last-minute offer for Russell Westbrook, and he ends up getting shipped off to Washington instead of Sacramento. So it is what it is. We'll just have to see what he can do here. And then lastly, I want to talk about Corey Kissberg a little bit. This guy's one of the best shooters, if not the best shooter in this draft class, coming out of Gonzaga. Like I mentioned, former teammates with Rui Hachimura, former teammates with two-way player Joel Ayayi. So they might get some run together on the court this season. But this dude is a knockdown shooter. He can throw down a powerful dunk with an open lane. He's probably not going to go up and poster anybody or anything crazy like that. But with the open lane, this dude can get up and he can go throw it down. He's a huge hustle player. You hear that again about a ton of the white guys. You got TJ McConnell out there, probably the most notable one. But all these guys go out and hustle. I know it's typical to say about the white guys, but you know, that's what they do. They know they gotta try that extra mile to kind of get there and be noticed, especially in a league right now where you have so many hustle guys that are trying to be those grind guys, like a Marcus Smart, like a TJ McConnell. But Kissberg's one of those guys that'll go out there and hustle, and he could be a solid role player for this team early on, as long as the shooting translates to the NBA. We saw some up and downs in the summer league, and some up and downs even in the preseason. He had a huge shot against the Knicks, and had like one really good preseason or summer league game, but the rest of them were kind of eh. So we just got to hope for him that shooting translates over. This is a guy that I'll definitely be keeping my eye on. He could become a very solid secondary scoring option next to Bradley Beal if Bradley Beal stays around. My season predictions for this team, though, I think this is about probably a 28 to 30 win team. I think they trade Bradley Beal at some point in the season after they see that this team is just not going to be it. I think this is just a very mediocre roster. I think they do have some potential maybe in a couple years, but I don't think Bradley Beal is going to want to wait that long for something to develop. He's got to be going out there and trying to win while he's in his prime and can help be that huge factor on that championship team. And then I think that this is another lottery season for this team with that 28 to 30 wins that I'm predicting for them. So that wraps up the series. I am so grateful for anyone who has followed along for the whole time. Even if you're just viewing this video, still grateful for you. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you on the next video. Peace.